Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is Tina, and thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join me here inside the Divine Joy Circle for another episode of Joyful Connections. And welcoming back my special guest, Nalini from Chalice of Wisdom. Welcome back, Nalini.
Thanks, Tina.
Oh, so it's so fun to have these conversations. And every time before, what juicy topics are we going to be discussing, right? So as we were having a little chat before we started recording, it brought to light, like, I really would love to explore a little bit about the times that we're finding ourselves in, and how so much of the old programming and the conditioning from the no pain, no gain cycle, those habits and everything, how that's really shifting in this new time, with joy being like a foundational energy, and what true abundance really is. And, having the experience of understanding that at some level, maybe, but that all those old programs are distorted at best and BS. For a lot of it, and how to shift that so that we can, what does that look like to play in that new field, and to really clear those old programs and everything out of the way, to really let joy be your guide.
Yeah. Well, as we've talked about, the foundational for the last cycle were of martyrdom. So you got merit badges for how bad it hurt, and for what you sacrificed and all that kind of stuff. That is literally, figuratively, metaphorically, metaphysically, and in every possible way over. So to carry those programs forward, it simply won't work. They won't function. It's a good way to just plant yourself in a puddle of quicksand, because it won't function in energies. New energies, the foundation of this emerging cycle is abundance, and its source's version of abundance, which we all get to learn now. The whole purpose of being in a cycle with a certain foundational energy, certain config file and archetype, whatever that might be, is to learn about it. So this is to learn about it, not from our essence, because our essence already knows this, and that's sort of the whole point of everything you do, but it's to learn about it as we've infused essence into an incarnation, into these bodies, into a world. And then not how does it function in this world, because up until now, not so well, but how do we bring, how do we bring that as the beings that we are into a new cycle and express that? So how do we express abundance in a new way? How do we express joy in a new way, where so many people I've worked with, you've worked with, everybody's worked with, they're so stuck in their head because they've been conditioned to be that way. They don't breathe into their bodies. They don't ground into the incarnation. And there's almost been an algorithm that the more spiritual a person was, the more they didn't want to ground into their body, because that feels like trapped. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole mythology that's grown up around it about, fallen angels, this and that, the cycles and the rescues and all that. And yeah, those games have been played out in the last few cycles, actually. But for now, the best thing is to drop all the old ways. And it's an easy thing to say. It's a little more, not difficult, but a little more challenging to actually do the expression of that and say, okay, for money is a great example, right? And you're starting a whole money game. So it's this example of, well, the whole world runs on money. Well, no, the world runs on energy exchange. I mean, back off, widen your perspective and look at what's really happening. The world runs on energy exchange. Every world runs on energy exchange, sources energy. It just so happens that there's such a heavy charge and almost like a deification of this thing called money, which in its originating form was just a symbol of, you didn't take the whole herd if you weren't sure someone was going to purchase it. You took a little symbol or a handshake or something that said, okay, resources are going to exchange hands, and this is going to benefit both of us or all of us or something like that. This is what's called sustainability, is when we share resources and when we use them wisely. So part of abundance, it's funny because the old definitions are all about, well, having, acquiring, who dies with the most toys. I mean, this is ludicrous, ridiculous, hilarious, and sick. Okay. It's just so twisted. It's not that. It's that there really is a sustainable, infinite level of resources for all of us and for everyone. And so how does that apply to money? Well, there are companies and new emergences, new businesses out there that are working with this. Bitcoin's one of them, where they say, okay, there's a way to exchange energy. And it freaks everyone out because they go, well, wait a minute, is that going to be fair? How am I going to do this? The utility companies don't accept Bitcoin. Well, they might, but they might. But this kind of thing where I had a wonderful acupuncturist somewhere that I lived who said, I wouldn't care if people paid me in chickens. It's just that the gas company won't take them.
I know.
And so it's this whole, we've deified this thing called money, these little emblems of resources. And think about that word, resource. It's like you're exchanging sources, energy, and everything. Some people still erroneously have this idea that the natural world, the natural resources are simply ours to squander. Nothing could be further from the truth. Our bodies are made from those resources, and that level of joy that is inherent in all the elementals. And that's not for us to squander. I mean, this last cycle has been about the warrior tribes learning consequences. And this new cycle is not that. And this is the hardest thing for people's minds, not their bodies. Everyone's bodies are already getting this, that abundance means what's sustainable, what's not, everyone has to go into lack and scarcity so everyone has enough. That's the opposite of this. And it's also not squandering, not saying, let's just use everything up because there'll always be more. Well, there will always be more, but not in the same forms. So it's really that treading lightly, and there's even a movement called that, I think, and really honoring and respecting the resources that are completely there and moving into the joy of that. So, for example, when someone goes for a walk in nature, typically, unless you're at a national park and they charge a fee for for upkeep, which is what's supposed to happen with that money, it's free. Right? I mean, there's no money exchange, but there still is an energy exchange. You're providing your energy, your reverence, your honoring, your appreciation of the natural world, and it does the same for you. It restores your energy, cleans things out, sort of restabilizes you in your flow. If you use that model, that's really what all of this new cycle is about. And coming into this learning, we're all going to learn, what does abundance really mean? How is this really going to be based in joy? So it's moving into that, it's feelings more than knowing at this point, more than mental knowing. It's like, get out of your head, breathe, ground in nature, and feel intuitively what is appropriate, not right or wrong, because all those things are shifty, like hourly at the moment. And the big things, of course, nobody's advocating all the heinous things, no one ever, well, people actually have, no one ever will, but at least who's coming from this abundant place. Then it's really moving from this awareness, this retrained, reconfigured awareness that this is a world of abundance. This world is based on magic. Every world is. What humans call magic, right? It's sources energy. And the infinite can be intuitively drawn at any moment, every moment. And it comes from that upwelling, that wellspring of joy, that, it's finding that place where does it feel good, but not just good as in absence of pain, but good, wow, this feels inspiring and exciting. And if it only feels that way for an hour or a day, it doesn't invalidate the feeling. It's on that feeling. And instead of applying the old rules to it, like, well, you have to do this, or you have to do that, or one has to do this, or one must do that. Our societal governing, parameters good? Yeah, because, unruly adolescent type humans have to live together. But, as far as letting that be your guide, not only is it not what you're here to do, it won't be functional anymore. It really has to come from this really abundant place of thank you, daily practice, in the morning. Thank you that everything that I not just need, because we have these weird definitions of that. Oh, that'll be lack. That'll be less than. That won't be what I really want. But thank you that everything that this being requires, everything that brings me joy, everything that lights me up is present within this day and available to me if I just listen.
Mm-hmm.
And see, then, in the old cycle, there's a pattern in thinking where one might think, oh, well, I'm not listening, so it's not going to come to me. Well, so stop that.
Control, Alt, Delete. Yeah.
I wouldn't say, what are you thinking? Say, why are you thinking? Get out of your head. And let that joy bubble up through you, that feeling of, this. And I have so many people argue and say, well, I can't live my life that way. I have a day job. I have to feed my family. I have to pay bills. I have to do this. Yes, and you've just re-deified money instead of realizing it's a symbol for sources flow through you. And why don't you re-deify that and then see how it affects your money? Mm-hmm. It's just retraining for everyone. Everyone's minds have to be retrained about this. You come from this upwelling joy where all resources, we say all of life, but all resources are precious. And that doesn't mean that we hoard them, we don't golemize them, but it's just we're in the flow of them and they flow through our lives. And they are with us. Things are with us as long as we truly love them. That's actually the truth. And the minute that there's a little, that's been enjoyable, that's been wonderful, moving on, they move out of our lives. And that doesn't mean you can't have it again if that's what matters most. The things that matter most are always with us, always. How this world is designed. So if money matters most, then you're in love with a pile of paper and metal. You can have lots of that. You know about Midas and Scrooge, right? Good story. But if you're just in the love of abundance, then anything and everything and really unexpected things come to you just through grace. Everyone is there around you, and including money, which is the emblem of this. You'll start to see a shift in that as you follow the intuition and the joy. Do what lights you up. Be in the feeling of, the essence of what lights you up.
Yeah. So fun. It's so amazing because, is it a week ago? A couple of weeks ago, I was experiencing a few inner glitches. I was aware of them, and it was like, I was having a few good explicit words come out of my mouth as I was having awareness of these limitations. And it's like, bloody hell, I think lots of this is like religious vows and, vows of poverty and abstinence in whatever way, and how those, not that I think the piece what really started shifting things for me is realizing that it wasn't just allowing all the stuff to be cleared through, really infusing my joy into not just this body, but any of the bodies that I may ever have inhabited in any dimension, any reality, any whatever. And so it was like not just the original inception point for this being here, but for all those beings. So I saw it was like this switchboard that was lighting up, and it was like all the energy started to be retrieved. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Exactly. All the places, everything you've stored off in, other realities, other dimensions that are around us all the time.
Yeah.
And we don't have access to because we've stored them. We've closed the lids, shut the doors, locked them up, and said, no, we're only going to have this experience. It's the only way you can have an incarnation. But at the same time, you can have access to all that you are, which is all of the divine, actually. And it is greater and more vast and expansive and extensive than all of us. And yet at the same time, we are that. Yeah. And the equinox cycle was a little bit like face plant, profanity, repeat. But sometimes that's the letting go of the old way of learning. We don't need to learn that way anymore. You learn to what lights you up, what lifts you, what relaxes you, what gives you that peace and that calm, and moving from that place, taking your actions from that place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so fun. And then, the moment the energy shift, because then that whole idea of bringing joy into money interaction resulted in this game, this idea. And I'm like, oh, I mean, every cell in my body lit up. It's truly feeling like a walking, talking joy sprinkler. I'm like, yes, this is it, It's really good.
Exactly. And there are those who project, oh, well, you can't feel that way all the time.
Yeah.
It's coming. We will get there to where each and every moment is sourced in radical joy. Mm-hmm. It's just that it's so entrenched of, sorrow and pain and difficulty and challenge that's it's an unlearning. Mm-hmm. And then a reintegrating, re-assimilating of what's real, just the sources of abundance and joy and that flow. And then it just through all the time.
Beautiful. It's like, it really feels like a whole new world, and we're stepping into it. And I think one of the what will we call it? I can't think of the word. It's like a mental block. Must be it. That I think so many on the path, we have these outdated ideas. I mean, that may also be really of that old cycle that we've lived in such a society of instant gratification, yes. Wanting things right here, right now. And so when oftentimes some people hear, we're in a 9 year of completion, for example, or we have this particular energy activation happening, as if that's going to clear everything out right there and then and be done with it, and the world changes overnight. And perhaps it has, but it takes a little while organically to have the visible effects of it, right? And so then what you were speaking about last month in September, the energy being on focus, and where do you focus your attention and your energy? And especially when there are no seeming visible results yet, how to keep your energy focused.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what we're all learning. And then how to act on it, which is October's energy.
Yeah, exciting.
First, it's a focal point shift. This cyclic shift is, among many other things, a focal point shift in perception from the limitations and the problems and the things that need to be addressed to not the specific solutions thereof. That's what you're talking about with the instant gratification, and the silver bullet factor, where everybody wants a silver bullet, but this is a dance. This is, you get a breadcrumb here and a step over here and a thing over here and a thing over here, and they all weave together this tapestry that is your new reality. And that's fun. Each step is fun and is meant to be. So if something isn't fun, then there are a couple things you can do. Look at, not like the old way, the old analysis thing would be, well, let's look at why not. Well, yeah, but you'll just bring in more of that energy. Let's look at what might be fun about this. And if nothing, delete. I mean, change the energy and go another way. Take a step in a different direction. Maybe that step was to show you that you're used to putting your toes in a pool that's not good for you.
Yeah.
Take them out. Let yourself be light lifted out of those energies. It's not a time to dismantle everything around us. I mean, there are things within us we still need to do some work on, but it's not that anymore, like dismantle the thicket. It's really just, be light lifted out of it and be in this other energy, and then don't go back. Don't look back. Why?
Yeah.
Everything has to be focused upon, done, etc. in a new way. And that's the fun of it.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, well, any last message that you'd like to share before we wrap up our conversation here today?
About abundance, just, you are that, you live it, your body is that, every moment of your life is that. So if you're going to make a focal point shift, make it that. Into the foundation of everything is abundance and sources flow, magic, whatever you want to call it. And that's what comes through you. And focus on that feeling of joy. Your essence is joy, not your egos.
Yes. That was such a beautiful shift in awareness that you shared a little while ago, realizing that, you know, calling forth what serves your essence rather than your ego. What is joyful for your essence rather than your ego? Yeah, I made a good note of that to remind myself in case any sneaky little suckers got in there and thought, oh yeah, we'll play with that.
There are any of those on the planet right now.
I know. Oh, wonderful. Well, for everyone watching and listening, thank you so much for being here. And if you'd like to experience some of the beautiful tools that can support you with really being in this energy of abundance, then please do go check out chaliceofwisdom.com. And there are also some really beautiful resources available at feeltuning.com. And until we meet again, go forth. Let joy be your guide to a life that's worth waking up for every day. And Nalini, thank you so much for your time and for sharing here with us today. And until the next time, many joyful blessings.